Swamp Thing number 11, written by Scott Snyder, art by Marco Rudy. Last issue left off with Anton Arcane seemingly killing Swamp Thing, Alec Holland, while he was resting, and coming after Abigail with a whole swarm of zombie guys. And this issue picks up immediately afterwards with Abigail being like, "Nope, get away. I'm not, get back, all of you." And Anton's like, "Hey, no love for your uncle?" And Abigail immediately starts with the gun and just trying to shoot as many zombie people around as she can. And they're all swarming. They're all coming after her. And Anton keeps on taunting like, "This reminds me of all the times you tried to run away from home. And each and every time, I always got you back." So he's revealing how he's managing to be here now. And he's like, "Hey, turns out I'm now the avatar of the rot. It's true. I'm in charge of the rot. Isn't that great?" And all of these people, all of the unmen I have here, they were not connected to the rot the way that we are, but they worshipped it, and now they're rewarded with unlife, or whatever they want to call it. So he knocks out Abigail, picks her up, and starts carrying her out of the cabin. And all the animals are saying, "Wake up," like as it walks away, until finally it manages to reach Alec. And Alec's now inside of the green, and he's surrounded by itty-bitty little like Swamp Thing looking people. And it turns out that this is the Parliament. He said before how he reached through the green and was trying to save the Parliament from destruction. And this is they're basically children now. It's like, yeah, no, we're still tiny, we're still growing, but we are still alive, all thanks to you. And as such, we repaid the favor. When Anton tried to kill you, we saved your life as well, so you are okay. And basically, they're like, here's the deal. Anton took the witch lady, and he's going off to do whatever. But the main concern here is he knows that we're here now, and that can't be left up to him, because otherwise he'll come back and kill us. So you definitely need to take care of him. He's like, shut up. I'm going to take care of Anton. But if you ever call her a witch again, I will come back here and burn you myself. And I'm like, damn, Swamp Thing. So Abigail starts waking up, and we see that Anton has made his way over to this portal leading into the rot dimension. And she kicks out of Anton's grasp, and he places a hand on her shoulder, and then we see that a big like bite mark has been taken out of her shoulder, and he has little mouths on each of his hands in order to devour things. And at that point, Swamp Thing shows up, lands a solid punch, and says like, "All right, it ends here. Let's do this." And Anton's like, "Oh, this hasn't even begun yet." So the unmen start attacking Swamp Thing, and Abigail's like freaking out, trying to help. He's like, "Anton, stop. This is whatever." And Anton's like, "Oh, he's only a man underneath all those leagues. Crush his bones, pull out his eyes." But then Swamp Thing like causes a bunch of spikes and like thorns to pop out of him, and they impale all the unmen. To which Swamp Thing's like, "I am unimpressed, Anton. I expected more. So show me what you got." And so then they start getting into a fight, and the paneling here is just fantastic of showing like how visceral of a fight it is. Until Swamp Thing finally starts lopping off arms. And he just tackles Anton to the ground, saying, like, "Time to put you back in the dirt." But then he reveals some of the new tricks he has. And every time that he wounds Anton, it just turns into a new mouth that's able to devour things. And now he's got mouths, like, in his stomach, on the side of his head and whatever. And Swamp Thing's like, he manages to trap Swamp Thing's arms within his own stomach, and he starts devouring them. But then at that point, Abigail, who's been left to her own devices, pulls out a gun and just blows Anton's brains out the side of his head. And he's like, "Yeah, I don't need my rot powers to do that." So Anton, still alive, because of course he is, he's like, "All right, I'll see you guys later. I'm going to go hop into this rot portal and recuperate. But I'll be back again soon." And Abigail tells him, like, hey, don't follow him. Leave him be. We shouldn't go in there, because Abby is getting these visions of like something. As she sees a nightmare, but we can tell that it's the future in some regard, because we see the Daily Planet globe and we see some other stuff, and it's just everything is dead. Like Poison Ivy is on the ground just screaming out in pain. Everything is gone. And Alex like, "Hey, maybe we should step away from the portal, Abigail." But then a voice across from the portal speaks to him, and it's Buddy Baker, aka Animal Man, saying, "Sorry, Alec, we got to go into the portal. We got to go together now." And he's with his wife and his daughter and Socks the cat. And officially, this is the last issue before the event Rot World kicks off, with the 2 prologue issues taking place in Animal Man and Swamp Thing in that order next month. So we have new event, baby. Technically, this event feels like it's been going since the beginning of Swamp Thing and Animal Man because it's so integral to the plots they're telling, but technically this is where the event actually goes now. So I am very intrigued. I like the Anton stuff. I think it's drawn extremely well. The art is very graphic, but also it just keeps that same sort of vibe that the whole Swamp Thing's been going on, of not quite realism, but just grotesque enough that you're like, yeah, no, I get it. Honestly, I can't fault this issue for very much. The only thing I can really particularly say is that there's a couple, like every page in here on its own feels necessary, but sometimes the actions within those pages feel a bit stretched out. So like Swamp Thing is attacked by the Unmen, and that takes 2 pages for him to just throw out his spikes and say, not that much of a big deal. Like it just feels a little bit slowed down. I like the pace. I'm all good with it. And especially if they knew that they needed to end at this point, I understand them having to slow it down a little bit, but having seen the kind of stuff that they've mapped out before in terms of just beautiful page layouts and stuff, I can't help but think maybe there was a bit more of something that could be done here. Like the last issue, it spent the whole time like bouncing back and forth between Anton talking to a like Swamp Thing in the ground to the story itself. So this one just felt a little bit slower paced. Not inherently a bad thing, but just I felt like there could have been something more. Very nitpicky, not at all a big deal. Still giving this one an 8. It's fantastic. And I would, if you haven't read all of Animal Man and Swamp Thing, or heard me talk about it up until now, please go back and check that out because it is going to be crucial moving into Rot World.